Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 355 of a year of change. We are quickly coming up at the end of our year. I wanted to do this yesterday, but then the whole barf bag machine thing happened, so I'm going to bring it up today. Throughout the past couple of months where we've been focusing a lot more on the exercise and, adding those changes in, and we've talked about changing again, and when we continue on after this year, being able to make those little tweaks here and there and find out how we can gradually improve and all that stuff, which is all well and good, but it's very important to know what kind of change to make. I made a bit of a mistake this week. This week I've been trying to gradually sort of shuffle things around a little bit with my treadmill. Now, my basic schedule right now is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do my 10 on, 10 off. So I do like 10 of walking, 10 of jogging, 10 of walking, 10 of jogging, 10 of walking, 10 of jogging. Do that for an hour. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays and Sundays, which is getting better and better, me doing those, I just do a regular walk. Now, I've thought lately that I've been doing this for a while. I didn't want it to sort of get stagnant, and we're going to know when it's time to sort of move on or make that change. It's a little different. I know that we've sort of been adding in additional exercise, well, not really additional exercise, but moving from moderate to vigorous exercise in the past few weeks. And it's not exactly the same thing as making your own changes. When we're doing the vigorous exercise, it's just to sort of get things introduced and, so that we get used to it. We'll start doing more of it, and then eventually it will sort of spread out a little bit more, and then we can have a better idea as to what we need to do to change. And I find that when you're about to make that change, it's time, because you get that feeling, the same thing that we started feeling when we were losing weight, because it stopped. That sounded really stupid. When we were tracking food as part of our weight loss, which we still are. I'm not explaining this at all. All right, think back a little while ago when we were making the changes to our food, and there were times when especially at the very beginning when we weren't losing at all, because it wasn't the plan. It was mainly just to start just getting us used to tracking and used to eating properly and things like that. So there were times when you're just like, I want to do a little bit more. And that urgency, that sense of, I'm going too slow, it was very important for us. It still really is. It's still, I think, important for us to keep at that level throughout this with exercise and food, because it's much better to want to do more and to sort of hold back and gradually inch your way towards it than it is to just say, okay, well, I'm going to do 10 times what I'm doing now and dive right in, burn yourself out, and hate it all over again like we've done so many times before. So when it comes to making a change with your exercise, you're going to get that same feeling that you're thinking, I kind of want to do a little bit more. I don't feel like I'm getting enough out of it. Some of you may not be there yet. Some of you may have already gone way past this stage, weeks ago, which is fine. But this week I've been trying to sort of I didn't know what change to make. I know that the 10 on, 10 off sort of thing has been working out really well. I still get really gross and sweaty when I'm doing it, but I wanted to start improving because I've been doing it for a while. And although I'm adding in, extra days, they're just walks. They don't really do much of anything. I thought, well, I could try like holding weights while I'm doing it. So that sort of passed my mind, or crossed my mind. Either one, passed and crossed it. Crossing actually would be perpendicular and passing would be parallel, wouldn't it? So they aren't the same at all. Anyway, crossed my mind. But what I decided to do was sort of focus more on the treadmill aspect of it. So I thought, all right, I've been doing 10 on, 10 off. I know that my original plan was to just gradually start increasing my time, but I wanted to look at my pace as well. Right now, I'm doing 5 kilometers an hour when I'm walking and then 9 while I'm jogging. So I thought it's a good enough pace. I've lost a little bit of weight, so things aren't rubbing together the way that they used to. So I should be able to quicken my pace a little bit. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna try something new. Do my regular walk, and then take one little burst and see if I can go to 10 kilometers an hour over 9. Which it sounds like when you hit that double digit, sounds like it's a little bit high. But compared to 9, it's not that much different. What I found was that I can do less than 2 minutes at 10 kilometers an hour. It is a big, big difference than 9 kilometers an hour. And that's why I want to say that it's really important for us to understand the type of change that we're going to be doing. And this, I mean, this is sort of more than anything that we've done. This is going to be a trial and error thing because for the most part, we don't know what the hell we're doing. With food, we can at least gauge it. We know what's good for us. We know what's bad for us. We know the things that we should avoid. We know the things that are just kind of, yeah, that's a health food. So, we'll eat more of that. And these are cakes, so obviously you can't have that all the time. But when it comes to exercise, it's very easy to say, okay, well, I think I could do that. And then you try and you fail miserably, which I did. Or you say, well, I'm never going to be able to do this. And then you're going to find that you're able to do it. It's so foreign to us that it's really difficult to try to figure out, what can I change? So I thought I'm going to try with speed because not to be, go at an all-out sprint, but just enough to quicken my pace a little bit. And chances are that extra 1 kilometer was a bit too much. Probably should have started at maybe a quarter of a kilometer faster, or half a kilometer, even that. But what I found is that it goes from, vigorous exercise for me into, holy shit, this is really, really fast. I don't want to do this. I'm going to throw up. So less than 2 minutes, I really had a hard time catching my breath. And I understand if I kept doing that I would, gradually get used to it. But that's not what our goal is. Our goal isn't to push. We aren't trying out for marathons. We aren't trying to be athletes. We're trying just to sort of become more active in general. So I'm going to go back to increasing my endurance. I know I can do 10 minutes now. And I tried to go a little bit extra earlier on, a couple of days ago. And it's doing 10 minutes, I think, is pretty much the same as doing 12 or 13. So I'm going to sort of dial things back and just go, all right, 11 minutes at a time and then 12. Because I do feel that it's time for me to make another change. I've been doing this for quite some time, and aside from me being sick for a couple of weeks, I haven't improved that. I've been at the 10 on, 10 off for quite a few weeks. So it's those moments when you go, okay, you know what? I think I know that I can do a little bit more. Those are the times that we're going to need to add those little changes in. And although the changes that were like sort of the basic format of the changes that we've done are pretty much done for this year, I said done twice, 3 times now, but we're going to need to continue on with that. And you don't want to be doing the same thing now as you're going to be doing in 6 months, or in 6 months doing what you're doing now. You know what I mean? You want to be able to adapt. You want to be able to have it change to a change. I can't talk at all. I'm all over the place with this one. Sorry. Basically, we want our activity level to evolve with us. As we start losing more weight, we start eating healthier. We want to lose more weight. We want to, become more active. Not to go crazy and say, okay, well, I'm going to hit the gym 2 and 3 hours, a day. But enough that we can say, all right, it's time for me to move on. I know that what I'm doing right now is slowly creeping from vigorous exercise back down into moderate exercise. And at the very least, even if it's still vigorous exercise, if it's something that you find that you're starting to get used to, then yes, obviously it's time for a change. For me, after 10 minutes of jogging, then when I'm done, then I walk for another 10 minutes. But usually within 2 or 3 minutes, I'm not huffing and puffing and out of breath anymore. My breathing is a little more controlled. I'm okay, and I take that time to sort of do a bit of a rest. So even if I cut that back to 9 minutes, and do 9 minutes of walking, 11 minutes of jogging, something like that. It's a tiny, tiny change, but it's a change nonetheless. And I feel like I do need to do something. And this isn't going to be something that we say, okay, well, starting Sunday, then you have to make some weird little change. The next change that you're going to be making is going to be one that you decide to make. And it's going to be one that you're going to understand and know that it's time for you to make the change. Just be very careful. Don't do what I did and go, okay, well, I'm going to change this part without looking into it first, because you're going to feel like a stupid ass. So really, I mean, it is really sort of a trial and error sort of thing. You're going to be trying one thing and then say, okay, well, that obviously didn't work. And so you're going to try something different. That might work for a little bit. And then you find that's a little too much. So you might need to dial it back. I think we're constantly going to be adjusting things. I know that we're sort of at this point 11 days to our end of the year. But a year from now, I'd like to be able to look back at where I am right now and go, okay, that was a good starting point. It was a good, place for me to begin. And I've been able to change it. This is new stuff I've learned, and this is the new stuff I'm doing and stuff like that. And that's really, I think, what we're sort of striving for a year from now. Not that we're going to be, taking part in any competitions or running marathons or anything else, though that would be great, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. But just so that we can look back and say, I kept going after this. I was able to make changes where they needed to be made. And as I say, you're going to be able to gauge this much better than anybody else can. You're going to know when it's time for you to move on because you're going to feel like you want to do more. You're going to, even if it's a matter of changing the type of exercise or adding an exercise or increasing your endurance or increasing the weight or the speed or whatever it is, you're going to know it's time for me to sort of take another little step and keep doing that. Because once you sort of start getting to that point where you're getting used to your exercise, even though like right now I'm used to the 10 on 10 off, but it's still vigorous exercise for me. I'm still, I can weigh myself just before I do it and then just afterwards, and there's a big difference in my weight. There's usually like between 3/4 of a pound and 1.5 pounds gone. It's all sweat and grossness and everything else. But so obviously it's still doing something. And although it may just be focusing on getting rid of like a lot of sweat and everything else, it's still obviously it's helping somewhere along the line. And where I keep losing week to week, even if it's a tiny, tiny amount, my eating is staying pretty much the same, although the past couple of days have been bad. She went over twice this week. So yeah, Sunday and Tuesday, which is not good. But continuing on, we'll talk about that this weekend. I lost my train of thought because I started feeling sorry for myself. What was I going to say? Yes, there we go. My eating has stayed the same. There we go. But I'm still losing. So I know that the exercise is helping. Obviously, the reduced calories, that's still helping as well. But I still feel like there's some benefit to me doing this. But at the same time, I also feel that, I kind of want to do a little bit more. I want to start going further. I want, because that was really my intent when I started doing the treadmill, is that I wanted to get to a point when I could jog for an extended period of time. And 10 minutes is an eternity for me compared to where I was a few months ago. I never would have thought I'd be able to do that ever. So I know that I can keep going. I just need to start building up again. So this really what I sort of want to talk about yesterday, but now we're talking about today. So over the next couple of weeks, you're going to be doing your regular stuff, and it may be another 2 months before you decide to move on and try something new. But when you do, you're going to know. You're going to have an inkling that, I should probably start adding more stuff in. And it's not really, it's not the same thing as saying, well, I should stop eating this or stop eating that, or I really should start exercising a little bit more. It's not going to come from a place of guilt. It's going to be something that you want to do more because you feel like, all right, I can do it a little bit more. I've achieved this. I've done this. And what was really hard for me, 3 or 4 weeks ago is now part of my routine. So I want to go a little bit further and then get used to that, and then a little bit further and used to that. And as you start building more and more and more, it tends to keep you on track. It has for me anyway, aside from the past couple of days. But we won't talk about that yet. That will be for the weekend. That'll be fine. But in general, we have no more changes that we're going to be making to the program itself. We're going to be talking sort of about rest days and off days and things like that, at the beginning of our last week. But as far as making actual changes, saying, well, this is what we need to do now, then those are pretty much done. The next change that you are going to make is going to come from you. You're going to be able to measure this much better than anyone else can, when you're going to be ready, how far you can go. And it may be 2 weeks for some of you. It might be 6 weeks for some of you. It might be, if you're just starting out. When I first started out, it was a long, long time before I was able to really make any significant change. But even if it's a tiny, tiny little tweak, just to sort of edge yourself out a little bit more each and every week. Now I'm saying it has to be done every week. Each and every time that you make a change, I'll do it that way. Then at least that's some improvement. And you'll notice that when it starts happening and you're going to say, I want to do a little bit more, it does feel really good because we're able to do stuff we were never able to do before. Yeah, I can't talk. I'm sorry. It's probably a sign I should end this. Besides, I went, there we go. We're around the 15-minute mark. I went for almost half an hour yesterday talking about vomit out of a machine, so I'll give you a bit of a break today. Some of you have called me on it, I know. But we're near the end of the year. These videos are not going to get any fucking shorter. That's it. But I'll cut you a little bit of a break. So, to summarize, which generally means I have another 20 minutes of talking to do. No more changes overall, but when you do make your change, whatever it is, and it doesn't matter how big it is or how small it is or anything else, when you decide, when you get to that point where you want to do more, aside from the actual change itself, you should take that as a very good sign that we are progressing. You're going a little bit further than you ever would have before. And whether it's, to do with food or with exercise or anything else, those are the changes that we've sort of set as our groundwork for this entire year. And you'll be able to keep going month after month and year after year after this. And so if you want, set yourself a 10-year goal and say, here's where I want to be in 10 years. And with enough little changes, you'll be able to make it. Like I say, I never thought I'd be able to jog for 10 minutes a year ago. It wasn't even in a far off, oh, well, that's my goal at the end of the year, to be able to jog for 10 minutes. Would have been way too far out there. Never would have guessed I'd be able to do it. So whatever you decide to do for your exercise, whatever your changes are, making sure that you're doing the right ones and not just saying, well, I need to now obviously start lifting 200 pounds a day. A day. See, I don't do any weightlifting. Obviously, you can tell. You do 200 sets of one day, right? That's how you weightlift. I know how it works. Shut up. But if you're saying, I need to start lifting weights, if you're adding new exercise, or if you're just extending out what you're doing now, or even if you're just changing it something, very, very small, and say, well, I'm just going to change something small. I can't think of anything else right now. Those little changes will add up. Whether you think that they're going to be helping or not, week after week and month after month, they do add up. And look how far we've gotten just with changing little bits here and there with food, and especially with the exercise recently. We're doing so much more. Anyway, I'm repeating myself. I'm going to shut up. And so there you go. You know what? Under 20 minutes. We're good. We're going to call it here. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.